So the thing is, if you get super awkward, just look at Murph Mitise. You know what I mean? Like you don't look at the camera.
I don't want to.
Like it's a professional setup. So what we booked in, like I said, we were doing 45 minutes, an hour last time.
Yeah.
And it was literally we hit 3 hours. We're not going to keep you 3 hours. So we've got we're on the clock. You got an hour.
Yeah.
All right. I want to know more about Sydney, where you've come from, what you've done.
Where I've come from.
So think about that. But first of all, welcome back to the Murph Mitise show. You're tuning in for the second time. Number 2. Back in the room. Today we've got a special guest. Our special guest is Sydney Wright.
Hello.
May recognise the face, may not. Looks very similar to her father.
Don't say that at all.
we'll get into that. So Sydney, give the people like where you're from, who are you, what you done, what you doing here. Why have we got you in?
I don't know why you got me in.
Well, there you go.
No, I'm Sydney. I play basketball. I'm 16. I'm still in school in my last year. Just trying to make it. Just trying to play ball.
So we're talking before at Henley High.
Yeah.
Sports school.
Yeah.
Been there for 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm interested. What I would like to know, because I've had a few players of mine go from sports schools before.
Yeah.
Right? And particularly in Melbourne and Queensland, from memory, Sky can correct me on this. What is it like at a sports school in Adelaide when you started? Like you said to me, you got basketball as a subject.
Yeah.
When I was in school, I didn't get basketball as a subject.
I'm speaking about this with her. I'm like, so what did you do today? Basketball? I'm like, yeah, but what subjects? No, basketball.
Yeah.
What do you mean basketball is a subject? I did English, for goodness sake.
How is basketball a subject? So, okay, run me through, like you go into the school, you're like, you know what, I'm going to a sports school.
Yeah.
And sport is a subject.
Yeah.
Where's it start? Like, do you start with learning the rules of the game and then, like, it's a 6-year thing, or you do different sports?
So everyone in the program, so you have to trial to get into the program.
Okay.
So everyone in the program already knows how to play. They're already at a certain level. So we don't have to go through the basics. But we pretty much just train, scrimmage. Like there's all age. So I think when high school starts, you're like 13 or something.
Okay.
And then in your 12 years, 17, 18. So it's like all of us. And sometimes like we'll split up into juniors and seniors and stuff like that. But we just train, go through certain drills. It's progressed a lot since when I first started.
Okay.
Like how long does the class go for? Like a normal 15-minute sort of thing? Or is
no,
it
so like Tuesday. So like we train Tuesday mornings and Thursday last lesson, and they go for roughly 90 minutes or 2 hours.
And this goes towards your grade.
This goes towards our grade. This is a straight grade.
That's crazy.
How does so you play? You also obviously you said I'm a baller, Sydney, I'm a baller, and then you're like, and then I'm at school.
Yeah.
Okay. How does the subject basketball differ, if at all, from when you're training? So you play for Norwood.
Yeah.
All right. How does it differ, if it does at all?
Well, there's theory. We have theory. So that
I've got questions.
Yeah.
I've got questions on that.
So yeah, some of our grade comes from theory work. So we'll have a few assignments. Not many.
Mm-hmm.
We have like 3 assignments or 4 assignments a year.
What would they be on?
Sports psychology, nutrition.
So not basketball specific.
Not basketball specific.
Sport.
Yeah. And we'll like tie it back to basketball. So I think we did a nutrition assignment and we looked at what would a basketball player need to eat or what their diet would be like compared to
7 footers, just like everything.
just
whatever I want.
Just anything you got, just eat it.
No, not whatever you want. 7 footers.
Yeah. Okay, so you go through basically like it's almost like general sport prep.
Yeah.
Tied into
basketball.
Does it help you?
Yes.
And how do you get better grades at basketball? Like you said, you got to get a minimum requirement to get in. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that class, then what differs a C- student to an A+ student at ball?
I guess it would be your theory work, how good that is. I mean, I know a lot of people that just don't really do the theory work. They're just in it to play basketball, and they're like, oh yeah, like, I'll do the work when I feel like it. But, so that would be the difference between, like, your A's and, like, C's or whatever.
Like, are you judged on the court, like, when you do your...
I would say so.
This physical side, is
I would say so, Oh yeah.
Like, have you ever actually asked a teacher? Like, if you're like, you know, if like you're like a C, right? This is how I picture it in my head. This is how I go. You're on a C, and you know, like, oh, my theory is not the best. And there's a person in class who's like B or an A.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what?
I'm
Lunchtime.
gonna take it to him.
I'm gonna at you, alright? And then Thursday, you said Thursday last lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You prepared a week, alright? You got your crossovers down. You got some moves in the bag that I don't know about, and you go at them and you bust it. You make them look stupid, then you're like, hey, look, want to beat now or what? Like, I figure like if you beat the better person, your grades would automatically go up.
Makes sense.
I guess so, but I guess you don't. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say I don't think you know what other people are getting. But yeah, everyone I know in that program is like just getting A's. Like I think it'd be hard to like not be successful in that.
I can't imagine someone failing.
Yeah, I can't
especially
imagine
if you're
failing.
good enough to get into basketball.
Yeah, if you know how to play basketball, then like
Teachers got the
that's it.
stats. Teachers got the stat
Yeah.
sheets. Like, oh, look, Sid triple double this week. A, you know what I mean? And then it goes down from there. I find it super interesting. So, do you do in your basketball subject? Because I really want to talk about this for a little bit because I think there needs to be more sports schools if we're looking to develop sport in Adelaide and Australia. Number one, right? Because I look at players of mine who've gone to America, and then also look at the American systems of training. Because I put them as like almost like gold standard, right?
Yeah.
For what they do, depending on the sport, but a lot of their conditioning, a lot of training. We've talked about this before. Is that they train their kids as athletes from like 10 years old. You know, so in regards to the actual at school, do you do things like any strength conditioning, any sort of gym work, or is it more around like you're what 16, 17 now?
Yeah.
Right. So you're at an age where you can train.
Yeah.
Do they take you through that sort of things, or is it more the theory and then on court?
Not so much specifically within our programs, but we do have a like strength and conditioning program, but it's optional.
Optional as part of that subject?
No, not as part of the subject. Anyone can do it.
Okay, and like how is that run then? So if it's an optional, like an elective, is it a subject?
No, it's just a program that they do. So I think like one of the PE teachers takes it in the morning. They go from like 7 to 8. I'm gonna guess, and they train. We have a school gym. It's a little bit old, but we have one. And
Gym's better than no gym.
yes. And they do exercises and stuff. I've never gone, so I couldn't tell you too much about it. But they train.
Do you know what they do in that program?
No.
Because I feel like that'd be interesting to have a look at in regards to the obviously you're talking to strength and conditioning coaches, right?
Yeah.
Both invested in the S&C side of things.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see because obviously you've got plans and you'd like to go to America.
Yeah.
I'm assuming at college.
Yeah.
To have that base there, you know, there's that distinct difference in when you get Australian athletes going to American leagues and they initially struggle across all sports.
Yeah.
From what we've seen, so it'd be interesting to see how the school Henley and what's the other one? Is St George? No, there's another sports school.
I think Cabra's pretty big in.
Cabra's. I've got some teachers at Cabra. I could find out for you. I thought it was the one in the corner, down near us, down in the studio at Adelaide. I think it's St George's or there's another sort of sports school. But I find that what I'm seeing is there's a lot of like focusing on gameplay and base theory rather than like here's how we train our people to get to, you know, to be athletes from that age, you know. So yeah, so like on that then, you're looking to go to America.
Yeah.
How do you got to get there and what are you going to do and run me through that?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that people don't take into consideration is it starts early. Like, I've been wanting to go to college since I was like 5. Like, I wanted to go, I watched the movies, like, I was like, I want to go to college. Like, I'm going to college to play basketball. And that was before I even really played basketball.
Yeah.
But I was just like, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to go. So it's always been, like, a goal of mine. And I think people don't realize is that it's all your schoolwork. Like, if you don't get the grades, if you don't take the right tests, if you don't take the right subjects, like, you can't go. It doesn't matter how good you are, you can't go. So that's been, and like, if you ask my mom will tell you, like, she's on me about school, like, you have no idea. But
fantastic.
Yeah. So that's been probably the biggest side of it is making sure I'm taking the right subjects, making sure I'm like getting the right grades, because you can't fail.
Yep.
If you fail, it doesn't count. You got to retake it.
Because it's scholarship based, isn't it? You
Yeah.
get a academic scholarship. Is that what you'll be going for?
No,
a
sporting
You've got to have
scholarship.
both, don't you?
No, you have to have.
Oh, sorry, you've got to have the academia, but
You got to have the
consider both.
academics to get a sporting scholarship. Yeah. But yeah, like I've had to take like Japanese, I've had to take like geography, like all these subjects I have no interest in.
Wow.
But I need to like get the credits, and it's like stuff you do not want to do, but
So,
you got to do it.
On that, because I know I'm one that's very motivated by end goals, hence why I'm doing uni everything I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And so by me being that sort of way in mind where I'm pushed towards my goal, I end up doing things that I don't really want to do because I know I have to, but I know I have to do them.
Yeah.
So I put in good effort.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that? So you said, Japanese and geography, something you're not really interested in. I can associate with that through stuff that I do. How do you manage to be able to get the good results and push through that, to get to where you want to go? What do you say to yourself?
What are your like intrinsic drivers?
It's just like, I guess it just comes back to my love for it. I don't really want to do anything else. I've never thought about, so like sometimes people say, oh, like what are you going to do if you don't play basketball? And I'm like,
what are you talking about?
what do you mean? Like I'm going to play basketball, like that's it. I don't, even, and I guess this is what I need to work on, even when people say like, what are you going to study? And I'm like, basketball?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess it just comes back to that, like my love for it, and I'm just like, I need to do this, like it has to be done well, and I can kind of bring that back to my parents, like they're not going to let me not give 100% into something, and especially after I've told them like this is my goal, this is what I want to do, they're like pushing me like as hard as they can, like okay, you have to do this, you need to do your homework, you need to do this, no you can't do this because you haven't done this yet, you haven't done your assignment yet, or whatever it may be. So
when you have a down moment, because you're a human, we all have them. When you have a down moment, you're like, like this, I just can't believe I'm doing this tonight. How do you turn that around? Or do you just go, you know what, tonight I'm just going to have the break, I'll pick it up tomorrow, or do you just go, no, let's do this now, let's get through it. What do you do?
I'm probably definitely more, I'm just going to have a break. Because I feel like if I'm not in the right mindset to do it, I'm not going to do it well.
I like it. Yeah.
So I'm gotta be like focused or relaxed, or I can't be too tired or whatever it is, and I'm like, I'm just, I'm gonna, because I know I'm gonna get it done. I know myself to know I'm not gonna hand it up late. I'm not gonna hand it up where it's not 100%. Like I'm gonna get it done on time, so I'm not worried about when I'll do it because I know it'll get done.
This is a 16-year-old.
Yeah. I was just thinking, they're like, what, like 16? I don't think I had the same drive.
No.
Like I had either, like a scattered kind of drive. But I was just thinking as you're talking, you've got no plan B. It's like, this is it, right?
Yeah.
And I think we discussed this last time, didn't we, about having no plan B? Did we discuss it, or was it at the gym?
Might have been at the gym. Every time I hear plan B, I think about, I'm pretty sure it's Will Smith's quote.
Yeah.
There's no point having a plan B because it distracts from plan A.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's really cool because, having that other option, it's like a fail safe.
Yeah.
If I don't get this, it's all good because I've got this.
Yeah.
If there's nothing there, you're like I've got to get this.
You've got to get it.
Got.
You've got to get it.
And that's pretty much what you would develop for yourself here is that one and only option.
Yeah.
And it's hard to fail at that sort of thing if you're so driven towards it, and obviously you're passionate about it because how often do you train?
About 13 times a week.
Don't be shy. No, don't be shy. Say it like 13 times a week.
So every
So
day.
This is not including basketball as a subject either, is it? This is outside of.
This is outside of that, yeah.
So you're training twice a day with a half day off, right? 7 days a week to get where you want to go, right?
And on top of that, probably watching basketball, studying the game. So, and even that's some sort of training, not physical so much, but the mental side of it, the theory side of training. So someone who's that driven, who does that much work on that one thing, you've probably knocked up 10,000 hours at 16 years old. Did you know much about 10,000 hours?
I've looked into that,
At 16? I didn't know that until I was like 23!
I still haven't finished the book.
Oh man! Yeah. So talk about, so like to me this is phenomenal. It's like talking to a younger female version of myself.
Yeah.
But I was like 23 when I started to learn this stuff, like to push. But I think like to have that drive at this age and to not have that, and to not have the plan B, like you're saying, is a huge thing. And so, what's the next 6 to 12 months look like? So you're in year 12 at the moment, all right? And we've managed to get you outside of 13 training sessions and school and whatever else you do outside of that. Now, what does that next 6 months look like? That finishing year 12.
Finishing year 12. I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to finish year 12. Well, I'm going to America soon to play in a couple AAU tournaments.
Nice, yep.
So
and for those out there, AAU is what?
it is what is AAU? It's like it's like a big tournament. I guess they have it every summer, and pretty much everyone plays in it. All the basketball players play in AAU tournaments, and it's just an opportunity. Hundreds and hundreds of college coaches are there, just scouting, watching.
So it's a big deal for future basketball careers.
Yeah, it's a big
right?
deal.
Does it stand AAU? Does it stand anything?
Yeah.
All American universities? Please tell me it is.
No.
Oh,
Damn
it!
I couldn't tell you. It's all American something or all associate. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But AAU.
So when's that come up?
I think they've already started some now because it's summer over there now.
Yeah.
But I'm going at the end of this month.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So do you have holiday? Is it like some mid-semester break? Or something?
Yeah, we have June, July holidays
Yeah.
over here, so I won't miss too much school. But I think I'll miss a week or two.
Can you get credit towards your basketball subject? I feel like it's.
I
feel
wish
like
I
you should be able to get some credit towards the basketball subject.
I wish I could, but unfortunately not.
And so that's okay. So that's coming in this month,
Yeah.
and then you get back from that. Well, beginning of July or mid-July.
Mid-July, yeah.
Mid-July, and then from that to say what end of the year? I would say, or end of school year.
Yeah, I just gotta knock it out. That'll be grind time, really. I think at that point I'll be looking towards exams and stuff like that, so I'll be just putting my head down, getting through it.
So how many subjects are you doing at the moment?
4.
Including basketball?
Yes.
I can't go past this basketball. I'm really like, why didn't the Heights, like Murph Mitise went to school, didn't run a basketball program?
Why did I do maths?
I didn't mind, you know my year 12 subjects were?
What?
Maths 1, or not maths 1, it was like specialist maths, PES maths. Yeah. I did 2 maths subjects, English, what do you call it? English
General or English Lit?
What's the fancy one?
Lit, that's what I do.
Is that one? Yeah, did that. Then I did chemistry and physics.
Oh.
You know how many of them I use on a daily basis? Like
you speak English.
I speak English. This is the best part, right? So just like in the English exam, English is my thing. Like I loved English and I loved reading and literature and whatever. And so the exam, I was feeling pretty confident. I was on like an 18 all year. I was like, no dramas. And they said the exams we would judge on 3 things. One's like a comprehensive writing, one was poetry, and one was something else. And they're saying, so what they'll usually do is they chuck 2 of the 3 things in, and you usually do like a comparative writing, so you analyse the poetry, whatever. And the couple of years before that, they'd thrown poetry into the exam, and someone said to me, I think it was one of my friends, said to me, oh, they went through poetry and shit, don't worry about it. And so you know what I did?
And you listened
Didn't study poetry. And I didn't study, and I came out of the first questions was something about like analyze this piece that you wanted, and I was like, and I sat in the exam and I made shit up the entire time.
Nice.
Like I really did. It was terrible. And so so I don't know where I was going with that. I was just saying about something. So you got 4 subjects. Yep. Basketball's one.
Yeah.
Is Japanese another one, or was that? Like,
No. That was a few years ago. I did Japanese. I did that. And it was like one of those things like no one I knew was in the class. Like I was by myself. There's only like 10 of us in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, like why? Why? But
was that full course credit?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You had to study a language.
Yeah.
So what else are you doing this year?
Yeah.
English, but English Lit.
Yeah.
Math.
Represent study poetry.
Yeah.
Tips.
Math, basketball, and society and culture.
So what's society and culture?
Society and culture.
Like is it like I don't know if you do that. I used to do like society and environment.
Probably
like
similar.
Okay.
And we look at current events that are happening in the world and like human rights obligations and we recently looked at refugees, how they're treated and stuff like that. Which is all around. Sometimes we do stuff that's like all around the world, but
okay, cool. Yep.
a lot of times we focus on local issues and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
So will that be 3 exams then?
No, just 2.
2 exams?
Yeah,
okay,
just
cool.
English and math.
Lit and math, yeah. And then so once, are they November? October, November?
November, yeah.
November. And then from that then, so is there another tournament in the States after, would there be another tournament in the States after that? Or like, what would that process involve?
There might be, but I'm not planning on going.
Okay.
I think the biggest ones are now during the summer. Because I think they'll be in school.
Yeah.
During that time.
Oh, they
so,
got the flip switch. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. So this is their break now. So this is the big one.
So on top of all this as well, you're also playing for Norwood.
Yes.
So not only is all this study going on, you're also playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You play for school as well?
Yeah, but we don't.
Well, when's their season?
We don't play regularly. We just play in they have like knockout tournaments.
Okay.
So we just play in tournaments.
It's a bit on and off there.
Yeah.
But you're also playing for Norwood. How's that going? So this is like Norwood Premier League level. So this is like the top level of district SA basketball.
Yeah. So we got Premier League. I don't play as much as I want to, but we got Premier League, and then I've got.
Maybe you'll put a bit more work.
Yeah.
You just got to throw that in. That's the case. Sorry.
Premier League, and then I've got my 18s team as well. So we play 18s. I play on Friday nights, and Premier League's on Saturdays.
And so 18 is your main one, or do you train with the Premier League and then play?
Both. I train both.
You train with both. So that's part of the sessions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And it's pretty unheard of that a 16-year-old's playing in. So under 18s playing in Premier League. So when I was playing under 18s Div 1, I was only playing Div 3 men's. So that's like 2 levels below crazy. Premier League. Yeah. So this is a 16-year-old playing Premier League as her second team. So that's a big deal. That's pretty huge.
That's crazy. How do you find it? How do you find it playing against, I'm assuming, bigger, stronger, faster girls? Like, how do you go? Is this your first year playing?
Yeah, I played a little bit last year, but yeah. This is, it's hard. It's tough, and it's completely different. I remember, like, coming out and, like, just thinking how much faster the game was, and everyone's a threat. That's probably the biggest thing. Like, in 18s, you have, like, one good player on the other team, 2 good players on the other team. Like, you just worry about them. Premier League, everyone's looking to shoot. Everyone's trying to get at you. Everyone's, especially because, like, I'm small for in 18s. So when I come out to Premier League, I'm, like, tiny.
Yep.
Like, it sucks. But, but it's good. I've learned a lot. And I've learned a lot from the older girls as well, which is cool.
Who would be some of your mentors in the team? I think I know a couple of little girls. You give me a little shout out, like, hey, thanks for teaching me some stuff. Like,
I don't know, probably like just all of them. They all teach all us young girls a lot. There's a couple girls that are older than me, but young as well, like 18 or 19 or whatever, and they teach. Yeah, they give a lot of feedback to all of us. So. What
are your biggest like development points then? Because obviously you're doing a lot of study and a lot of gameplay. What for now? What would be your biggest development points moving forwards?
Probably just to be confident in my abilities. That's the one I hear a lot. Is like, don't second guess yourself. Because as soon and like I'm a big overthinker. Like I'll think into it way too much. So as soon as that happens, like it's all downhill. So that's probably the biggest thing that people have told me. Like just trust your gut, go for it. If you mess up, you mess up. Like who cares?
Yeah.
Just keep going. So that's probably the biggest one.
And, like physically, because obviously you train with Murph as well.
Yeah. Well.
I think I've seen you around a couple of times.
The last 2 weeks, not as much.
Yeah. Like, how do you go? So if you haven't done, how long have you been training? You guys been training together for?
Oh, I'd be close. Well, definitely a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a question for you then. What have you worked on with her since she was 15 and a half, 16 years old? 15 and a half. You 17 or 16?
I would have been 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess obviously initially at that point you're still growing.
Yeah.
Like development of the bones and whatnot, so you can't really do any axial loading sort of things. So it's more, we started off a lot of just body weight, teaching her the mechanics of the body, doing a lunge, doing a squat, teaching her the basic movements, the normal primal patterns, I guess you call it. And just looking at how she moves on the court. So I was luckily, being Joey's daughter, we might talk about that later.
We're going to go into that though.
We'll go into that.
Murph just dropped the hat. Alright, anyway, go on, yeah.
I was able to see her on the court, so after the boys had finished training, she'd walk on the court and do her little thing.
Yeah.
I could see, some movement things going on there, and I go, cool, that's what we're going to work on next week. And obviously we're just talking to Joey, saying, what do you think she needs more work on?
Mm-hmm.
And I could develop those areas as well. I remember one not long ago was wrist strength.
Yep.
So you're shooting from beyond the arc, you need a bit of a wrist strength and power, so just developing some more wrist strength as well there, and then the tricep as well. So just picking on little areas like that. These days, her technique is really good.
Mm-hmm.
She had a lot of right knee issues in the beginning as well, and they've sort of really moved away quite a lot now. Because of some of the stuff we did in training, like just proprioceptive work, that sort of thing as well, which is really cool. But these days it's a lot more finer tuning.
Yep.
Still working on landing mechanics and that sort of stuff. Sprint work, deceleration work. But yeah, she's definitely moved more. And now that she's of age a bit more, we can start giving her the axial loading training.
Yep.
I'm going to start loading up with some squats and
some
deadlifts and bigger hip thrusters. And that's
what would, like obviously we know how we would train, like us as kid athletes or teenage athletes, right? From a teenage athlete perspective, what did you think going into training with? Like, there's obviously the S&C program at school that you avoid. Had you done any physical training, like strength training beforehand? And if not, what were you like going into the sessions with them?
Yeah, I had trained before Murph, so I didn't know Murph was gonna push me that hard, but
most people don't.
But I had done strength and conditioning work before. We have they have like a NITP program.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
National Intensive Training Program in South Australia. And so it was basically like we train once a week, and we'd do like an on-court session for an hour and a half. And before that, we do strength and conditioning for about 45 minutes. So I did that for about a year.
Okay.
Around the same time, if not before, when I started working with
What were the differences between that program and what you've seen Adam do? If anything.
Probably just the intensity of it. Like Murph, there was no slack with Murph. There's no slack. You cannot rest. Like it's flat out. That was probably the biggest thing. And then I think at the NITP, they were like uni students, so they were still like learning. I'd assume. So probably just that's the biggest thing. I think a few times they weren't too much older than us, so they were just like. They were just, it was a little bit more relaxed, I'll say that.
Yeah. Because what is that run, because I don't know, I haven't heard of the NITP program before. Is that run through a basketball club? Is that run through the association? Is that run through a sporting?
That's through basketball SA.
Through basketball SA?
Yeah.
Okay, and so they run the NITP program from what ages up?
I think actually they start young. Like, I think we start like under 14s on a Saturday morning, and then the older age group was Thursday nights. I don't know what it is now. I think it's Thursday nights. And it would be like, you could be 15 to 17 or something, or 14. I think I was doing it when I was about 14 or 15, so.
And was it similar sort of movements? I was like, movements like similar to backgrounds in strength work, landing mechanics, jumping,
it was.
all that kind of work?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty much the same stuff.
Yeah.
So. And
then moving forwards, obviously you would know, the more axial loading. Will you get into power development over the next, say, 6 months or so? Because when would you look to transition, or when is the college intake? Is it next June?
Year. This time next year. Yeah.
This time next year. So you've got a year.
Yeah.
So do you plan on continuing training like 13 hours a week or 13 sessions a week through? And if so, when we start to get to like power development and trying to transition from what I'm saying is like, how do both of you, obviously athlete, trainer, going from where you are now into, or how close do you get to that American sort of base when you go over there? You probably won't know until you get back from the AAU, so it's a bit redundant, but like from your own point of view.
Well, I reckon development-wise, she's, as I said, we've done all the preparative work for the last year and a half, so I'm really happy with the way she moves. We've done all the lateral movement, jumping, that sort of stuff already without the explosiveness and the plyometric side of it. And I'm happy with the way she moves, and she can land well and she can take off well. So all that stuff's solid. So I'm happy to now start progressing into some actual strength training. So obviously before we get into plyometrics, I want to be strong.
Of course.
So I will get into some more axial loading, as I said, some squatting, some deadlifts, some heavier lunges, some single leg unilateral stuff as well. And then from there we'll phase it into plyometrics. So I'd say within the next rough go, without actually having designed anything just yet, within the next 6 months should be doing some sort of plyometric. And then getting to the real solid plyometrics by the end for sure.
Because how often do you train a week? Like with
Murph, just once.
Just once a week, and then from that you can do all your other work. What sort of work to do? All like your court sessions? Is there like warm up prep work and then court sessions and?
I hope there's warm up prep work.
Don't even. I've been on a bit of a train lately with warm ups and prep work because I've been hearing a lot of things. Give me ears to the ground, right? I've been hearing a lot of things about.
Sydney, tell me there's warm up prep work.
Yeah, there's
what would that involve?
It depends. Like at training, like we go through a proper warm up. Like
what would that involve?
Like your dynamic warm up, like typical.
What would that involve? You study so much. Tell me. Like, would you go through? I want to lead you with it. Like, what would from where you are now at like 17, 16 in your groups, like, what would a warm up involve? Because what I want to talk about is then with you, like, what would you do as a warm up with a teenage athlete?
Yeah. Give us a rundown from, okay, we're doing warm-ups now, go into this.
You don't have to name names, like at this team I do this, and then this I do that. We don't want that. We just want
pick a team.
Like what we do after
generic.
training? Like, I mean, after the warm-up or during the warm-up?
During what is a warm-up?
What would it involve? What would you do?
Run up and down court a couple times. High knees, butt kicks, lunges, grapevine, stretch.
Like what type of stretching? Like a...
You stretching what?
Like a sit down in a circle, you're stretching your hamstring, I'm stretching my quad, and we're just having a chat. And then... So
it's a static...
Yep.
Do you do dynamic as well? So you like what we do, would you move?
Like lunges, yeah.
Yep.
We do that, and then we do static stretching as well.
Okay.
So...
Cool.
And then from that you get into more like game specific, like warm ups, like layups.
Yeah, so we'll in a game we would do layups and stuff.
Yeah.
But at training we usually shoot first, do something light just to get into it, get your body moving, and then we'll start to progress into training. But start off pretty light.
And how does that differ with what you do with the boys? What? Hang on, here we go. Value points. What would you add into it if you were talking to a team or association going, here's what we need to add into warm up just to get a little bit better.
A little bit better.
If anything.
Can I also take something out?
You can take anything. Okay, you can take anything out. I'm just like leading this shit. Like you can take anything out you want, and you can put stuff in. Like how would that differ?
It's like more planes of movement into the warm up. So you know what plane of movement is?
No.
So you got this plane of movement, so if you're facing this way, back and forward.
Yeah.
You got this plane of movement, so lateral, and you got this plane of movement, so transverse. Okay, so twisting. So adding in all the planes of movement
as part of the warm up.
As part of the warm up.
This is huge. This is huge.
I also use my warm ups with the boys, also with Sid, especially in team environment, is conditioning.
Yeah.
So
define that.
When the boys start,
you know what we're about. Define it.
When the boys start with training with me in the first proper session of pre-season, after warm-ups, they're wrecked.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, it is easy. Or it's not easy, it's a proper warm-up now. Yeah. So I believe warm-up should pretty much be, warm-up is preparation for game situations. If you're not warming up specific, again, I love this word, specificity. If you're not warming up specific to the game you're about to play, at the intensity you're about to play, you're not warming up. So you should finish the warm up at the same intensity, pretty much. I feel
like you have like a fire on the screen.
It's so true that you need to walk onto the court already in the zone, mentally, physically, physiologically, at second one.
Yep.
And that comes from the warm up.
Yep.
That comes from either, as I said, I think I said before, warm up start slow. I start with give me some walking lunge with a back bend and a bit of a twist, and then do a Spider-Man crawl or reptilian crawl, whichever you want to call it. And we start to get more and more into even the plyometrics by the end of the warm-up. They're doing A skips for height, they're doing A skips for distance, they're, all that real explosive sort of work. They're the last phases of my warm-up.
Yep.
And then we go into, okay, now get some layups or do some half-court sprints, followed by return to free throw line. So they're going baseline to half-court, back to free throw, walk to finish. Just some deceleration training.
Yep.
So I'm using actually conditioning for acceleration, deceleration, plyometrics, active stretching, all in a 15-minute period of my warm-up. So it's actually conditioning. It's not
just keep talking.
It's not just warming up.
Yeah.
And I also would take out, and I don't do it, is static stretching. I'm pretty sure from memory, static stretching decreases decreases explosive performance by 20%.
Do you know what else I read about April study? Is do you follow Science for Sport?
Is this on Instagram?
No. So, they have an Instagram page.
I've
signed up. I'm I think I'm a member or subscriber, whatever. And every month they come up with new articles, like the latest research that month. And one of the latest ones, and I'm just like, yes, we've been shit for ages. Is that if you open chain hamstring stretching, because it was a hamstring stretch, open chain hamstring stretching as part of warm up, as opposed to closed chain hamstring stretching, all right. Open chain stretching increases range of motion, as you would expect. All right. Closed chain stretching also increases range of motion, but open chain stretching decreases stiffness of the hamstrings. All right. Decreases ability to produce force, and also decreases ability of the hamstring to sustain load on the eccentric loading. So like deceleration. Right.
Define.
Which part?
Open closed.
Okay. So open closed, like if you're standing with a partner, you just like leg swings for height. Alright, not touching, sorry about that. Open chain movement, you're not in contact with the floor.
Okay, right.
Alright, closed chain, if you're like, you're walking along, lean down, touch the floor, change that way. Like a hammy scoop. Alright, closed chain.
Okay.
So, from an athlete perspective, when you're doing this, you still feel, I've got to stretch my hamstring. Alright, but from a scientific perspective, the actual changes in mechanics and the changes in structure and the outcomes that you're getting are completely different. So to take from that, and this was, I was like, right, this small whiteboard, I was like, yeah, like, done that shit. Like, is that, like, this is like, is that basically if you're doing, your kick throughs, like, soccer is chronic for it, right? Soccer, football, field-based sports, right, guys, we're going to do some kick throughs, one kick through, right? What that actually does is it potentially leads to an increase in injury risk in games. Right? Because you're not actually loading the hamstring, or you're not actually like loading the muscle safely, and it's not able to then maintain stiffness. When we talk about stiffness, talk about the ability to like absorb and dissipate force.
So this is a physiological change.
This is a physiological change.
Not just physical. So it's not just the muscle, we're talking about also the brain working here as well.
Yeah, and like it's chronic across everything. So the static stretching, I think, is the static stretching, knowing that that's not usually beneficial, has been around for, well, I would say 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
Maybe even before that.
Yep.
I'm only aware of the last 5 to 7 years, and the science showing that the decreases in performance ability. But this one came out, like I said, April. We're talking 2 months ago, and this was just on hamstring stretch. I would be inclined to say it correlates across the board. And so when we're talking for hamstring stretching, and when we're talking for hamstring ability, the main decelerators of the body through movement, especially court sports, when it's like you don't get to run fast and then stop. You got to go there and there and that. You know what I mean? It's a lot more dynamic. Is that you need to have that ability of the hamstrings to decelerate efficiently. And so what basically the conclusion was is that if you want to increase range of motion of the hip joint and the hamstring, cool, do the kick throughs, but it's not going to help you in your sport. And so from that, I've started going, okay, how can we then give our players and our people what they want to have in regards to, I'm going to do some kick throughs and I'm going to do my grapevines, I'm going to do my stretching, and how like our job then as coaches then to be like, okay, well here's what you kind of want, do a little bit of that, but then change it to do this, and definitely with the warm-ups, I'm going to warm up tangents to deal with it, right? Is that definitely with warm-ups, as you mentioned, that they have to be you're starting from here, you're playing in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. You have to be at that point, you're ready to play, except from minute one. And I think that, like, what I would love to see and what I would love to sort of, like, push through is that, the warm-ups that are being done, I find are lazy. They're lazy because people have been doing it, like, coach been doing it for 20 years. All right, boys, like, I get up with, like, my soccer team, right? So I play, like, a older team. and it's like, all right, boys, we're going to do run-throughs, we're going to kick throughs, and we're going to all have a stretch. And so when I said about, like, the stretching circle, you just sit there and chat, like, oh, yeah, cool, and you get up and go again, but you haven't actually not prepared to play.
Yeah.
And then you look at, like, injury risk and ability and whatever. Oh, my God. So that's what I would say with the warm-ups, definitely.
I was going to say, you actually mentioned, but I'm going to clarify that again. Conversely to what I said before is, you still need to add something in there for the boys. Or for the girls, or the athletes.
The athlete in general, yeah.
Because the mental side of it as well, they just like the hip stretch.
Yeah.
Just, I need a hip stretch. I'm like, dude, it's not going to work. It's not going to benefit. Just need a hip stretch. I'm like, all right. So I negotiate or compromise with them. And I go, okay, hip stretch. There we go. So
yeah.
What do you want so quick for? We're working together here, man. Come on, let's work together. And they're happy with that. As long as I do something that's going to mentally satisfy them, they're good to go.
Yeah.
So I think, I remember Donald Carr, who maybe even got this from Paul Chek, said, you can be the best strength coach in the world, you can design the absolute perfect, best program in the world. If the athlete doesn't do it, it's shit.
And it's also, if the person doesn't do it, if you're in a general population, if it doesn't do it, it's terrible.
Shit. So you need to make it so that the person sees a benefit in themselves. So you need to add in the stuff that is going to work, but also what stuff that the athlete wants in there, or the person wants.
What do you want in a warm up then? I'm bringing it back to Sid, right? So are you at the end of your warm ups that you do on the court? Are you kind of like, oh, I feel like I need to do a little bit more, or
usually, And I before, like, it depends, because sometimes, like, in Premier League we get 20 minutes, 30 minutes to warm up, but on Friday nights we get 4 if we're lucky.
4 minutes.
Yeah, so it's like, how warm can I get, especially right now, it's winter, how warm can I get in this amount of time? So it's like, usually on Friday nights, like, I'm not, like, we're starting the game and I'm like, okay, like.
Why is it only 4 minutes?
It's just time.
It's not as professional league.
Yeah.
So pump through.
It's just juniors.
So one game finishes, one game starts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's not like you're only given, I can check.
You're just like, on a schedule, so it's like, it's hard, but I would definitely rather be, like, ready to go, like, sweating if not, and, like, going into it like that, because you feel better and you play better, like,
definitely.
So, yeah.
So, well, obviously, I don't expect you to know I need this, because if you knew what you would be in our position, you would be sitting here or there. You wouldn't be in the middle. I think we'll take a quick break, get a little drink, and chill out for a little bit, and I'm gonna just check the timing, make sure gigabytes haven't run out, and we'll come back in a sec. Dude, the second warm up's Okay, what's the latest of the last 6 months that we can collate and put together as an effective warm up protocol that is not going just a generic shit, and then how we feed that out there to everyone? Because I think it's huge. And then I think once you've got a solid foundation of warming up, and people and athletes and coaches and admin staff and whoever understand what the purpose of it is for, then you can start to work on, okay, well, to supplement this, you need to be doing the strength stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think it's a very pervasive idea that you don't need to be doing strength work in the background, or power training, or gym training, or in the background. You can just do your warm up, and then all your court or specific training is enough. And I see that a lot from the amateur levels up through.
Yeah.
I think that if you can go, oh cool, here's a generic warm plan, but we know that the benefits of it, and by the end of it, you're sweating, and you're like, god dang it, it's like a workout. Yeah, you want to get better? Actually work out. So yeah, but I think, you know what I want to talk about? I told you this before, right? The stigma. Is there stigma with your Joey's daughter? I told you I was gonna go there. Murph dropped the bombs, right? Murph dropped the bombs. You know what I mean? So you obviously your dad is the coach of 36ers, alright?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've grown up in basketball. It's not a thing you used to be like, you know what I'm going to do next year? I'm a coach of basketball. I'm assuming there's been you mentioned before, like, your parents been a big like push for you to help you get to it. And when you were talking about that, I was like, you know, obviously they are very driven themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and so that also feeds down to you and whatnot. So it's, for me, it's kind of like, you know, when you hear of, from what I've heard before, it's like, okay, cool, you're a coach's daughter, you know, so you're going to get special privileges to get into where you're going to go. But that's not the case, is it?
No.
Like, you got to, like, you know, is it harder to try and overcome that? Like, talk about it. You know, it's like talking about your mum and dad, like, you know.
It is definitely harder, and I think that, yeah, like you said, like, you would think it'd be easier, but it is not easier.
Dad's like, hey, Norwood, premise team, put her in. You know what I mean? Like,
it is like, people, and I think I found, really since I moved to Adelaide has been different as well compared to, because we used to live in Queensland.
Okay.
So before here, we lived in Queensland, and people in Queensland were very, like, relaxed. Like, they didn't really see it. They didn't really see me as Joey's daughter. They were just like, oh yeah, like, cool. But when I came here, it was like, oh, you're Joey's daughter. You should be better.
Yeah.
Like, and if I wasn't, then it's like, what's wrong? Like, why you're not that good, or you can't do this, or.
Was this from like a school?
No. This is just.
Okay.
I don't drop any names or nothing.
No. We don't know about that. But like,
just in general, probably in general, it was like, oh, well, she can't do this, or why can't she do that? Or I've had coaches come to me and say, oh, well, you should know that. I'm sure your dad's told you that. And I'm like,
that's rough.
Well, not necessarily. Like, what does that have to do with it? Things like that. And I think because I've been around it my whole life, and I've seen, like, how, like, professional teams are run and stuff like that, like, I know straight away when it's not supposed, like, if someone said, like, a coach said that to me, like, instantly I was like, that's not cool, like, that's not right. So that is hard, dealing with things like that. And then I think the other side of it is, like, pressure, like, personally, with me and him. And I know... Like,
you put it on yourself? Or
yeah,
he puts it on you? Like, you look in the door and it's like, hey, split the team or what? You know, or, like, you put it on yourself.
I definitely probably put it on myself, but it does come back to what I said earlier. Like, I told them what my goal was, so no matter what, they're going to push me 100.
Yep.
So on the days I don't feel like it, he's still pushing me 100, and it's like, bro, like, leave me alone. Like,
yeah.
But,
so your dad's your coach for the under 18s.
Yes.
Okay.
How does that work? What's the dynamic like there? Being his daughter's out, do you get favoritism? Is he harder on you? Is he just treat you as an equal like every other girl on the team? Talk about
that. He will tell you that he treats me like everyone else on the team.
Yep.
But I can promise you he does not. Like,
how so?
And which way? Harder or easier?
For sure. Harder for sure. It was never going to be easy. I just never expect that.
And why do you think that is? Is it because he can get away with it because you're his daughter, or because he's pushing you because he not expects more, he wants more from you? He thinks you can achieve more.
More so the second one. He knows what I'm capable of. Like, we work out all the time. Yep. So he knows what I can do. So if I'm not doing it, he's like, why aren't you doing it?
I've seen it before.
I know you can do this. Why aren't you trying it? Why aren't you practicing different things? Why aren't you pushing yourself? Why aren't you, like, don't just be like everyone else. You need to try and be the best that you can be, because he knows what I can be.
And would he say that during the game? Like, will he pull you aside, or was that after the game on the way home? Or
after the game, he'll go into detail, but, like, during the game, he might be like, hey, try this, or...
but that's as a coach, though.
Yeah, as a coach. So it's so, and he'll say that to all the girls on the team, because you know, as we've gone on, he's like, hey, why don't, you know, you try this, or you do that, or whatever it may be. So with me, he'll say that same thing to me. But he might say something to me before the game, like on the car ride on the way there, like, hey, make sure you do this tonight, and make sure you try this, or just make sure you play like yourself. That's one of the things we talk about a lot is.
But that's also a usual thing. Like, if you're with teammates or coaches, you know, we get lifts to the game. I would say it's a normal thing to do that. You know, it's not like a favoritism.
No.
But obviously you get a lot more time around your teammates and coaches, you know. But I think, like, it's interesting with. We talked about last time about the environment that you put yourself in. or that you obviously don't put yourself in that, but you've grown up in that environment, you know, and getting to that whole mindset at 16 of having no plan B, that's definitely an environmental thing, and then obviously you take from that and push yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, in Matilda squad, you know, up there is that there are father-daughter combinations at that level, national level, you know, and I think it's very much pushing. What I've seen is that it's usually the athlete that pushes themselves harder than the parent will push them. You know, that's what I mean, in order to sort of get to that and to live up to that. And so,
actually, something I'd like to get into in a sec. So
no, you go, man. You go. I was just kind of like, I was like vibing out then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember back when I played, and it wasn't your level. I just used to love basketball, like it was my life, like it is today, but different area. Back when I played, I was my own biggest critic.
Yeah.
If I played a bad game, I mean, obviously the team wins, it's all cool, but I'd still walk away thinking there's something I could have done better to make it a better win, or something I could have done to actually help the team win. And I would be, you know, not so much stressing, but focus on that for the next training session or for the next day to go do something. How do you cope with your bad games or subpar games? Or even training sessions for that matter.
I used to be really bad at it, and I think that's just like an age thing, like a maturity thing. I used to just like, okay, I had a bad game, or I had a bad quarter, or I had a bad half, like the whole game's gonna be bad, or the whole week's gonna be bad.
That's what you would say, or that's what it was?
No, that's what it would result in.
Yeah, because of self-talk.
Yeah, and that's probably what, like a year ago maybe? But since then, I'm like, I don't know, I think I'm just, okay, I played bad, or that's what it's going to be. That happens sometimes. Like, sometimes the ball just doesn't go in, or sometimes you're tired, or whatever it may be. Like, it's just not going to happen, so...
Bit of that Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
I always look back at Kobe, and he could miss 20 shots, but he would hit the game winner because he just knew something in his head says the next one's going to go in.
Yeah.
I might miss that, the next one's going to go in.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of thing you just, no matter how bad the last one was, you would think, doesn't mean the next one's going to be bad, I can still get that one.
I can still turn it around. We still have time. Like, especially, I think I've had games where I've, like, played an awful, like, first quarter, like, going, like, 0 for 12.
0 for 12 in the first quarter?
Yeah, like like, it was bad.
But the next one's going to go in. The next one's going to go in.
You hope so, at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was bad. But then, like, finish the game with, like, 20, 25 points.
Nice.
So it's like, you could, like, and then after I've seen that happen, I'm like, okay, this is
what can happen.
Real. This can happen. So after that, it's just like, just keep going, just keep playing the same. And then I recently spoke to someone, and he said the difference between a good game and a bad game shouldn't be that different. The only thing that should really be different about it is maybe, okay, the shots didn't go in, but everything else you do, everything else you can control. You can control. You can control.
No, Ken. Is that Ken Cole?
Oh, no, actually it wasn't. It was a guy called Tyler Kennedy. Actually plays for Norwood, plays for the men's program. But, yeah, so he said...
Tyler Kennedy sounds like a guy we want to get in.
You actually...
Dude!
Yeah, he's got some good stuff. Smart guy.
All right.
Yeah,
Stay tuned for Tyler Kennedy. Bang!
Yeah, so I think that was also another thing, like just controlling the things that I can control.
So are you the kind of person or player that if your shot's not on for this game, you would focus on defense or rebounding? Your height rebounding, but playing better defense. I've got to pick on you because you're shorter than me. Would you focus on another part of your game to help lift the team in another way besides scoring? Or are you just on the scorer?
Nah. Well, no, I'll still look to do all aspects of the game no matter what.
Yep.
Obviously, like, defense, it's like an effort thing, so I can always be playing defense no matter what. Whether I'm scoring or not, you should be playing defense.
Because effort doesn't take skill, right?
Effort doesn't take skill. There you go.
Well, that's an effect.
Effort doesn't take skill. I love that.
But yeah, no, I'm pretty much like, if I'm not shooting well, then I'm gonna keep shooting until it happens, because I know it's not gonna make it happen.
It's a very Kobe mindset.
And if it doesn't happen, then oh well, on to the next one.
What about this way then? Because I know, like, obviously, being basketballers, we love to watch basketball as well. And with the NBA Finals just finished off, Golden State, we got to see Steph Curry play, who's probably arguably the best shooter of all time.
Yeah.
If he has a bad game shooting, you start to see him drive more or take a different sort of shot. He'll still take his threes, but he's going to go, I'm not going to shoot a three every time. I'm going to start driving to the basket to create something different to make the defense change. That's something you'll do as well. If you've got this one shot that is your bread and butter, but for one game it's not on, do you change it to score in different ways?
Yeah, for sure. And especially because often like the defense will start guarding you differently as well. So I think that comes into play. But I think, and I always used to think like if I miss a shot, like maybe I shouldn't shoot the next one, or if I miss 2 shots, maybe I don't shoot the next one, and that's often not the case. I think the older I've gotten, and the more like my dad's a strong believer in if you're open, like you shoot no matter what, like it's going up. So I think that's been a big one as well. But I think definitely if you can't produce in a certain area, then definitely like see what else you can do.
Yeah.
And but I think that also comes to like your skill set. Some people can't do that. Some people can only drive, but they can't shoot. So if you take away their drive, then they've got nothing.
They're in big trouble.
So
I guess that's whether you can focus on defense more. You can, you know, I'm going to shut this player down.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
So what about 5 minutes left? I think you got to head off. 2 minutes.
What time is it?
Maybe it's 22.
22. I've got like one question.
Okay.
Can you do one question?
Yeah.
It's basically like you're 16. I'm still half a minute. Do you do things outside of actual training or actual like your condition sessions or strength sessions for yourself to lead towards your games, such as you read certain types of books, you might have like a vision board or anything along those lines that you do that you could then say, you know, for someone aspiring to get to where your level and then obviously where your level is now onwards, say, hey, look, here's what I do, you know, in my, I say downtime or whatever, to help you affect your game. And then what you would say to advice to other 16-year-olds.
I don't think I do anything like specifically, but I would definitely say just make sure you have an outlet. And like for so long, I would say like, well, actually, I do think in some ways basketball is my outlet. Like I'll say that's the fun part, and it is. But you gotta have some time where you just go hang out with your friends, or you just go hang out with your family. Like I love to hang out with my family, like all together, where you're just not worried about school pressure, like whatever it may be, and it's just like, okay, I'm safe here, like this is fun, I'm enjoying it, I'm relaxed. Like you gotta have it because you just drive yourself crazy if you don't. You will go crazy. So I think that's probably my.
That's probably your thing.
That's probably my thing. Yeah.
All right.
Sydney's nugget.
Yeah.
Done. Well, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
You know, are you off to school now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we'll let you go to
You
school.
got basketball first class?
No.
Don't even. Well, thank you. We'll check in with you. I think we'll follow the journey.
Yeah.
But
We'll see what she's like when she comes back from AAU.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We went back and you can tell us what
For
you
sure.
thought. If it was what you thought it was going to be, and then you know whether anything changes in the future.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Good
Nice. Sick. All right. Tune in next time. I have someone else on the cast. Maybe not. We'll see what happens.
See what happens.
Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Bye.